You know, when's the last time you heard someone go from delivering fridges to scoring in Champions League for Milan against Atletico Madrid? And I'm not talking about delivering fridges when he was a kid. I'm talking about delivering fridges at 25 to scoring in Champions League at age 30. Just the other day, Junior Messias came off the bench to keep AC Milan in the Champions League. As always, he raised his hands and looked up to the heavens after scoring a goal. But this time, it was different. Junior Messias was visibly moved by what felt to him like a divine intervention. After all, this goal meant that Milan's Champions League hopes were alive at the time, but it was also the fruits of a hard journey that took him from the labor jobs to playing in Champions League with Milan. I mean, how else would you explain a former delivery man going from playing 4th tier to scoring the winner against Atletico Madrid in just 4 years? 4th tier, not 2nd, not 3rd, 4th tier. We often hear about the rags to riches stories of football players who conquered the rough hand they've been handed by life. You know the typical storylines by now. Poverty in childhood, followed by fame and fortune in the late teens, maybe early 20s at most. But the story of Junior Messias is a unique one. It took him ages to realize his potential at the age of 30. Talk about a late bloomer in football. From a struggling refugee life in his early 20s to joining Milan and scoring in Champions League, Messias definitely has a place among the greatest underdog stories of football. But the question is, what makes the story of Junior Messias so special to us? Well, grab your popcorns, ladies and gentlemen, because this is gonna be one hell of a rags to riches story. Right, so just a decade ago, Junior Messias was really struggling. At age 20, the Brazilian was living in Italy without a residence permit or a job. And to make things more complicated, he had a wife and 2 sons to feed. Eventually, football ended up saving him, but boy was it a slow burner. To make ends meet, he took whatever odd job that he could find, from laying bricks to doing electrics. He never stopped playing football in those early days. It became more than just a hobby that he pursued on weekends. Getting together with the boys at the weekend and playing football was pure enjoyment for him because his day job was so rough. That being said, his talents didn't go unnoticed. He was invited to play for a team made up of Peruvian immigrants. This was an important moment for him because this is when he was noticed by former Torino defender Ezio Rossi, who was watching a game from the stands. He was so impressed by our boy that he literally invaded the pitch at the end of the game and told him that someone like you couldn't be playing here. So he took him under his wings and found him a team in the 5th tier, which got Messias a €1,500 per month contract. This allowed the Brazilian to focus on football once again. In a season where he scored 21 goals, he helped his team win the league in the 5th division of Italian football. After promotion, he moved to another 4th division team, Chieri, where he continued to score freely before moving to Serie D rivals Gozzano. Looking at his stats, this is when the goals dried up a bit, but not the quality of his performance, and that helped him sign for Serie B club Crotone. In his first season in Serie B, he helped the club win promotion to Serie A. Now let's take a brief look at his career so far. A career that saw him go from the 5th division in 2015 to Serie A in only 5 years. Honestly, that should have been the end of this fairy tale story, but fate had a different plan for our boy. His star was to shine bright, far brighter than what he would have imagined. And before we talk about his first season in Serie A lot of time goes into making these videos. So your like and comments really mean a lot to me, and it really helps out the YouTube algorithm as well, as this is a young channel. This was supposed to be his first season in Serie A, the pinnacle of one of Europe's top footballing nations. This was supposed to be the conclusion of a beautiful story that took him from playing with refugees to being a Serie A player at age 30. And for Crotone, they were gonna show the whole world what they're made of. They were gonna rise against the odds and shock the order of Italian football in Serie A. And they were god awful. Like, really terrible. Unfortunately for Junior Messias, Crotone suffered an embarrassing relegation by conceding 92 goals in 38 games. Yet, our boy was the team's top scorer and the shining light of a terrible team with 9 goals in 36 games. Even with all his brilliance, not many people expected him to earn a summer move to Milan. However, the technical director of Milan wasn't just an ordinary man. It was football's finest ever defender, who is credited for Milan's recovery back to Champions League. In the past couple of seasons, Paolo Maldini had a reputation as a shrewd operator in the transfer market, and he felt that Messias would be a good bargain buy. All of a sudden, Messias, at age 30, was sharing a dressing room with superstars like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It took him quite a while to have have his debut with Milan due to fitness problems, but who could really blame him? Only 6 years ago, the 30-year-old wasn't even a professional. Eventually his time would come, and a few substitute appearances here and there was enough to show Milan that he has what it takes. But it was in the do-or-die game against Atletico Madrid that the rest of the world would notice him too, where he scored the winning goal with a perfect header. The boy was visibly emotional, and that was beautiful to see. After all, there aren't that many stories like the one of Junior Messias. His journey as a professional footballer only began very recently, but now at 30, there are still many more chapters to be added to the story of Junior Messias. Personally, as a Milan fan, I had my reservations about this signing, but it's safe to say that he proved me wrong. And just a little before writing the script for this one, he just scored a double against Genoa. By now, it's clear that there's far more to Junior Messias than a fairy tale story. I'm Football Drawn, and I like to tell football stories with comic and drawings. If you enjoyed this video, check out the rest of the channel as well.